Uj, everyone, peace and blessings. We have hopefully overcome our technical difficulties of the day. Do for everyone for joining, and we will continue our series. I know today's a little short notice that we were having this class today, a little pop-up notice. So do for accommodating it and joining. Let's see here. Let me get the everyone can see and hear correctly, correct?
Yes, SDJA.
Okay, remember our rules of engagement. We're going to go ahead and start with an opening prayer. I will put it out there one time for anyone who wants to do the opening prayer. As we continue the series, if you need to interrupt, you can turn on your mics and speak freely. Say, SDJA, I have a question. SDJA, I don't understand the correlations you're making. SDJA, can you explain that more? And you can also type in the chat. We have many, advancing students who would be able to facilitate that and or bring it to my attention. So, if somebody would like to do the opening chant for me, it would be appreciated.
Yeah, I can do that.
Dua.
Hotepti Anpu wep nep pajister terkeru kakapet dineter ari makeru.
Tabdina sonatera, ampu epwat neptajasa, perkeru kakaped, sinaterari makeru.
Hotepti nesuneta Anpu wep nep pajister terkeru kakapet dineter ari makeru.
Tabdina sonatera, ampu epwat neptajasa, perkeru kakaped, sinaterari makeru.
Dua.
The tap.
So let me do this. Before I continue on, I will show the wonderful shrines, the karas for the Abnetter that you all created with your own hands. And as soon as I and do a for Shem's bell for collating them that you all shared and putting them together. And hopefully I have the right version of what you sent me. I just don't see the I see the name showing up there in my PowerPoint, but I don't see it showing up on the screen for.
You have to click it again, so it's gonna animate in.
Oh, okay, I see. I got it. Okay. So it's Byron Hannah's on the right, Shem's Howard on the left. So, and this project is still open. Anyone, if you did yours, created your shrine. This is shrine. This is related to the Sage of Menamopit, the Abnetter concept that the divinity of the heart, the soul that resides in this space within the unconscious mind, called the Kara. a shrine within the heart. And we were just kind of developing that in a very embodied way, working with the physical body, the hands to create it, the mind, the unconscious, the different aspects of the personality to tap into that sense of soul awareness, soul awareness. The Abnetter, the same thing we call through a mystical scriptures, the soul that Asar represents. So these are the shrines that were created. This was the one I shared with you that I created a goddess Heteru when for a trip that we took that I needed a pocket-sized shrine. And you can see how simple it is and how elaborate it can be. And these were just done very quickly. Even mine were done very quickly because I was preparing for the trip, and it was just a thought that came, and I just wanted to put together a little something that I can put in my backpack. And Shemzarit, beautiful, inside and outside. And Shems Rakat. And hers, I guess she shared a little video. So Shems Bell made a little.
Just click it. You can just click it and play.
I have a new mouse today, and it's not like responding it's responding, and I have a limited space for the mouse. I'm trying to like situate things here.
Okay.
Here we go. The views turn sideways. The one with the animation. Is Shems Rakata? I don't know if she's on. If she can share, are these? I wasn't sure if these represented the two libation vessels or something else.
I don't see that she's on right now, SDJA.
Okay. And this is Shems Bells, the eye, and the cover, on the outside and the inside. Beautiful. And I think this was a Sar Goldens on the left, and this was Bas Maquettes on the right. This was the one on the left was the one I'd made as the template to share with you all, made from a cardboard box and a dollar store a wallpaperish covering that they have there from their arts and crafts, and ankhs on the door, and just bottle tabs for the door handles. So, and then this one was one that I have for myself is a bread basket I got off of Amazon that has a sliding door to close. So if you sideways, you can see it's a bread basket, like to store bread in, and I made it vertical and for the Asar, like a shrine you can open and close. And this is Sparent Hiru Markets, and very, very beautiful. Love the imagery, needless to say. So this is the outside of it. This is the inside. Here from Abu Simbel, Holy of Holies. And then there's a little video and music. Came out sideways there again. But we get the gist of it. Much dua. What do you all think of those? And again, you are welcome to create. Keep creating. There's no limit, a timeline. Any comments while I'm loading up the presentation for today?
SDJA, Matnu Arlit had said, this assignment was very nefer. I am enjoying working with nefer. I think Abnetter is what you meant, for healing and cleansing a heart. Dua Hetep.
Any other comments? How did it feel to you to do it? Come on, those of you who made it, like, what was your Shemzarit share? What was your experience?
Ulja, I was My experience, this is Shem's Bell, creating it was enlightening and also concentrating. Like I was like, this is something I'm creating with my hands. So I like to kind of, do that in general, that arts and craftsy things. So I enjoyed it, and it was also I enjoyed that we all were partaking in it at this like same similar time with the, felt community wise for me as well. That's it.
Dua for bringing out that aspect of it.
And I enjoyed making the PowerPoint as well. That was very nice.
Oh, I think I had my Dua. I think I had my. I meant to turn off my camera, but again, this little mouse, it's kind of doing its own dance today when it wants to. It's a little. I have to click twice. So hopefully you saw that in the larger. You were able to see it too. Any other comments before we continue? If you don't share here, I really want you to journal it. But if you can share here, I would appreciate it as well too. But if you don't, journal how the process was for you. Just don't even think twice about it and say like, oh, just as an assignment, just do it. As a soul assignment. Today, the focus is soul. So as a soul assignment, journal it. I'm trying to think if I journaled mine. I may have to go journal mine too. So that's for me too. Okay. See, so I would like to find out how I can get that to go up a little bit so I can have my whole image showing, but well, we can only do what we can do. Anyone else to share? And then we'll go ahead and start with today's program. So, okay, heads up, we'll start. So again, our key theme is Aset could not tell Haru and Set apart in this particular stage of the myth that we're focusing on. When she tried to help Haru, she couldn't identify which of the hippopotami, I think hippopotami, which of the two hippopotamus or hippopotami were, which one was Haroon, which one was Set, because they look so identical. And Shemsbel in her submission pointed out a few aspects that they did have this identical appearance. And she referenced this, she referenced the, I have not eaten my heart out, my precept. So we are focusing on that also. But we're still, I'm going back to this because I want to share, we are still doing our key themes. We have not left it. Even though SDJA is going into seemingly diverse areas, it is just to expand and integrate some of the different ways that in our tradition we present and we relate to these different themes. And so it's to give a depth to them and allow you more opportunities to connect to it in some different way. Maybe you don't connect this way, maybe you'll connect that way. So you have a connection to it. So, and a deeper understanding. And as far as I always think that everyone on here is always a teacher in training, because there's no way that you cannot connect to the teachings and then it becomes a part of you. And I'm not talking about proselytizing, but just in your own communication with each other, with your Sen and with Senti, other people who may be in the spiritual field, but mystical spiritual tradition, but not in our tradition, to be able to have that broader experience to connect and to share. And teaching from the perspective is like just sharing. It's really just being. It's like a tree that is maturing and it bears fruit. The tree doesn't go and say like, hey, you have to eat my mango. Hey, you have to eat my apple, right? People come and they want to partake of it and they partake of it. And you're not putting forth any effort to like, here is what I have to offer. You're just doing you. You're just doing you as a spiritual aspirant. So just don't get overwhelmed by what I'm sharing. And because I like a lot of images and I connect a lot of things, don't get overwhelmed. I just let it flow. And if it stops flowing for you, just say, SDJA, I've come upon a dam with what you mean. Dam teachings, can you explain? And let me go beyond that dam. So it's just relax with it is what I'm sharing. And just let me know and touch bases, which expands my capacity and opportunity to be able to understand how different minds work differently than mine. So, we are focusing on this identity, nuking correctly. Who is that Haru personality? What is it a who? Is it a what? Today, we're going to focus on who and what. Sibima brought this up a long time ago, and it's kind of stuck throughout the teachings. It comes out every so often, and I'm resurrecting it again. The who I am is the spiritual nature, the Haru and the Haru mystical lineage, the Neturu. In the mystical lineage, specifically, we're focusing on Asar. Of course, that includes Asat. We're focusing on Ra. We're focusing on Nebuchadnezzar. So, as the essence of who we are, Asar, the soul, Ra. I tend to think of Ra in terms of the oneness, having that just like broad understanding of what Sibima called the universal spiritual recognition of the universal spiritual reality, that all of this is who I am. And then Nebuchadnezzar, the transcendental self that is beyond conceptual mind, thinking, understanding, intellectualizing. And of course, we're using the different books here and Proverbs, Mod Philosophy, The Discern Resurrection, African Religion, Volume 4, The Book of the Dead with the Mod Precepts. And then also now Sibima has brought forth 2 new books. I have to make it a little smaller to get my slide to fit on there. And then it's going to show part of my other slide, which I have no control of today, apparently. I can either cut off the bottom. I guess that's if I do it in the PowerPoint, then this computer does a reverse PowerPoint. So, okay, well, we'll just see the top or the bottom. So these 2 books. So our frameworks will use the language, and I'm saying language with parentheses, the scope of these 2 books to deepen deepen our framework of nuking correctly, and the Mott precept on not eating our heart. In this not eating one's heart Mott precept focus. So I brought all these little frameworks here. A little bit, actually. It's a little bit annoying, frustrating, frustration on the spiritual path. I'm trying to get my whole sliding here, and it's not opening up the PDF files properly is what it is. It's opening it up in a, I don't have enough bandwidth on my screen to have a whole slide focus unless I make it really teeny tiny, and then it shows my top or it shows my bottom. Because I need to get rid of a line here. It's like 3 things it's taken up here. Because it's not opening up in the PDF properly. Is AC on still? Maybe turn on the fan a little. Okay, I will keep trying to work with it. I'll just have to read small print. So if you see my face stuck in the computer, that's why, because it's I just have to get up close to read it. Okay, so we're still in our themes, which I put like a composite of our different themes here. We have Harifi, we have Eating Our Heart Out, we have our books that we are working through, we have the image of the battle of Haru and Set, with the Set trying to spear and not being able to identify which one. And if we don't identify ourselves as spiritual aspirants, then a Set cannot help us, our intuitional wisdom that is trying to help us. How is she trying to help us? She's trying to help us to to know intuitionally, to understand experientially our true nature. That's what she's trying to do. And if we as aspirants striving towards this understanding don't say, I'm Haru because Haru wants to align with his family of his father, Asar, his grandfather, great-grandfather, Ra, and his true essence, Nebuchadnezzar. So if a set doesn't know, are you your ego personality? Are you Haru? Are you Set? Are you who belongs in the throne? Who am I helping to become established in the throne of eternity? Who is heir to the throne of eternity? So it's very important that we nuke correctly. And this one is depicting our mystical lineage graphic that I've shared before. And again, go back to the previous ones. Videos, we go through all of this more in detail. So we're still in our themes. Our theme, the word for today is discernment. And this relates to Harifi personality, which is what this personality here called Haru with two heads, one disposition towards unrighteousness. And when we think of unrighteousness, we tend to think of like doing bad stuff, anger, hatred, greed. And also the biggest unrighteousness is egoism. That's like the core unrighteousness. And that is the sense that we are individuals, separate and different from everything around us. And that comes out from the core forgetfulness of ignorance. So the Haru disposition is trying to overcome ignorance, not knowing who he is. And because of that ignorance, egoism comes about, which it runs amok with like, oh, my body, mind, personality. This is the I am. I am Karen. Oh yeah, I'm over here. Who are you? Oh, like, well, my body, my mind, I see them. I don't see my mind, but I identify my mind with my brain, and I just think of myself as this physical being here running around doing things. And what about this world? Oh yeah, it's like I can see it, touch it, feel it, taste it, smell it, hear it. So, it must be real, and it's, the main reality. And that's I live, I die, I experience pain, I experience pleasure. This is life, and this is what life is. I eat, I drink, I be merry. I try to be merry. So that kind of a limited mindset, the egoism aspect, comes out of that ignorance because we don't know the deeper essence of our lineage. We know our ancestral lineage, like where did you come from, where are you born? Well, many of us don't like know in detail, but we have a general idea, like, at the very least, like our father or mother or grandparents or sisters. Even if we're adopted, we have a mystical sense of, we have a sense of our ancestral lineage through whomever, through our being a human embodiment incarnate. So we have to display our identity so that our intuitional wisdom can recognize and discern that I am Haru of soul lineage. And I'm not the ego personality. I have an ego personality in this realm of time and space, this mystical illusory realm. So there is an ego personality aspect, not denying that. And that, is associated with the what I am, but it's not the who I am. So we're kind of like not saying the ego personality doesn't exist or it's bad or anything. It just has to take its proper place. It's the what I am. It's not the who I am. And it's been running around acting like it's the who I am, trying to take the throne away from the real who I am, which is Asar, and you, Haru, the heir to that throne. And your intuitional listeners are trying to get you to sit on that throne, trying to fight and, do battle with this, help you do battle with this ego personality. So it can continue. Set is not saying like, oh, I want to kill the ego personality, never is to exist, It's just saying, like, no, you're just not the heir. You're not, the throne does not belong to you. That's not what you were designed to do in this time and space realm. So Aset is trying to assist me, the aspirant Heru, to experience intuitional realization of my true mystical lineage, my true nature. And you can read this or repeat after me. I put it in terms of I or me to kind of own it more. My self-effort is to nuke correctly by Sekau and Sekemen. Somebody can type those words at the meaning of or speak it, second and Sekemen. Anyone else? I'm eliminating Baspaket. She also is waiting to see who else will do it, and she comes in, as a backup.
That's
so
for sure.
So that I'm not just hanging here waiting for some support. Sekau and Sekemen, right? My self-effort is to nuke correctly by Sekau and Sekemen and Sao Nebiger. What are those two statements? What do they mean? Anyone?
Remember and don't forget.
Okay. Sekau and Sekemen, remember and don't forget, and here we're using it, remember, or who am I, like our true essence or soul awareness today. And Sao Nebiger. I know someone knows it. I know someone knows it. I am praying someone knows it. I am hoping someone knows it. Anyone?
Zebaja, Aspirin Hero Market had shared it, heads up.
Okay, can you say it for me?
Nee. So Aspirin Hero Market shared that Sao Nebiger is awareness of Nebiger.
Okay, Dua. So awareness, and here there's experiential awareness that is enlightenment, and here we're speaking in terms of discipline. When we talk about these things, we're speaking in terms of the Shedi disciplines, like in a disciplinary way. If I don't discern my Harifi personality, then I will eat my heart out. Because I'll fall into the pit of dejection, anxiety, worry, fear, insecurity, the pit of egoism that comes from nuking correctly. So that's how it ties in with eating our heart out. So we are using these intertwined conceptual frameworks to, one, develop the stopgap technique, or refine, I should say here, refine the stopgap technique to shift conscious awareness, right, our day-to-day conscious awareness, to the deeper sense of soul, to develop awareness that Nuk Asar, I am soul, that who am I, mystical lineage Neteru, as opposed to I am this physical body and mind, the what am I awareness. So this is why I'm going through all of this, because we already kind of developed that stop, and what I'm calling here the stopgap technique, that when one is in a state of losing their connection, losing their awareness, in deeper and deeper ways, that we're becoming frustrated, we're getting upset, we're getting anxious, we're getting fearful, we're feeling insecure, we're feeling impatient, we're feeling annoyed, really anything that is not helpful to our spiritual awareness of that kind of like disconnects us more and more, because it's getting into that egoistic sense of individuality, me against this other person or against the world. So we're developing and refining that stopgap technique to shift conscious awareness, the deeper sense of soul, to develop awareness of that Nuk Asar, I am soul. We're also doing it to develop an understanding that this Abneter, this soul, Abneter soul, we talked about last week, soul, the soul aware, and what Sebama refers to as soul aware witness, is a deeper, more real you, even though it's not visible to the physical eyes. It's a deeper, more real you, and it holds the key for your life mastery and enlightenment. It's key to not eating your heart out, because it never, ever, ever eats its heart out. It is always ger. It's always ger. Who knows what ger is? Type it in. I have to have some like mystic candy or something that I give out, some metaphysical candy. Metaphysical means above the physical, that I give out to those who are answering my questions, like as a reward. I know aspirant Haru Maket is not the only one that knows all these things, because I do know others do know, but for some reason there's a resistance to sharing today. They're being greedy with their knowledge. Anyone share? I know Haru Maket wrote it in the chat. Does someone want to come on and share it? Read what at least he wrote, at least? Or share what it is? The good?
Puja,
Puja.
I can read it. Serenity or tranquility. Yeah.
Dua. So yeah, that's why it's important to do that, because we can't pull it from the ego personality. The ego personality pulls it from the soul without awareness and recognition that it's pulling it from the soul. And then the ego personality thinks like, oh, I'm the one that has this peace, and peace can be found in the world. And, peace is peace of mind. It doesn't recognize that the source, that when it is able to experience it, comes from soul. And it's because it is the more real you, it's here now. Just take a moment to pause and just be in that this gur, this abiding, unaffected nature, this serenity, this tranquility is here now. It's always here now, forever and eternally. And it's you. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. Let's breathe into that for a moment. So let's do a brief overview of the stop technique. And I say overview because we're going to put it together at the end, the whole package, after we go through Seija Metamopet, talked a little bit about soul awareness and all of that, and different conceptual frameworks. So brief review. And really, for my programs, you really need to be on a computer, and you need to be able to view it, because they're very visual, imagery oriented, and the themes are worked into the imagery. And so you really have to be able to see that to really get the most out of it. So if anybody wants to relocate to a computer and to take in a few moments. I'm not saying you can't listen, but like Sibama says, this is just not only for me, this is for the spiritual teachings as well. Brief overview of the stop technique we are developing for greater ego personality control or purification from a soul awareness level engaged in the teachings of Seija Metamopet. So I just don't want to have ego purification just to purify the ego and become a better version of you, which is like more the psychological aspect. That's good too. Nothing wrong with that. But I want you to also, I want us all to deal with it from a deeper soul awareness level, so that it's actively working towards our spiritual enlightenment. And we're acting on a deeper basis of truth, of our true essence, or deeper essence. So we are going to use the Sibama's book, Kemetic Transpersonal Psychology Series and Mental Health and Ancient Egyptian Psychology, new translation of Seija Metamopet's wisdom text for optimal physical and spiritual transformation for self-mastery and enlightenment. Like it's like a blueprint. And I said, we have videos on this series in the video repository of KMTTV, KMTTelevision.com, KMTTV.com. So if you all remember the stop, right? So we used to share previously about a technique, those of you may remember the 3 S's, or I think I also developed it into the 4 S's and maybe even one time the 5 S's. And the first S was for suppression. So it was suppression, substitution, sublimation. And then I think I had one after that sometimes. I can't remember what I had for number 4 when I had it, but I would have like serenity with my 4th S. And the suppression gets a little confused. We don't mean like a suppression, like psychological, it means like refrain. It means like stop. It means like it's just a temporary, like, don't continue to do what you're doing. You're yelling, you're screaming, you're speaking, badly. You're just freeze, stop, like right there. Don't move forward. So I'm using the stop then, but I just wanted to let those of you who were familiar with that, this is similar, but it's incorporating it into the Sage Amenemopet teachings and the soul awareness teachings. And so, and I'm using stop instead of suppress, just for that, not wanting to have that confusion. And plus stop worked out as a really good acronym. So stop Seha. This Seha comes from Sage Amenemopet's teachings. It means to turn away from and reject in the divine. So that's the first part. So stop doing that. And we say like, well, I'm not turning away from God. Like, God is like turning away from me because like this issue that I'm dealing with, like if God really loved me, I wouldn't have to deal with this issue that I'm dealing with. Like life would flow for me in a better way. So like it's God really, he turned away from me and like I'm in this messy state and like God doesn't seem to care. And so the teachings actually say when we turn away, it's us who turns away. And when we turn away, we then blame God. We say like God has turned away from us. But if you think about it, if you have 2 people looking at each other here and then one turns away, this person here can say, oh yeah, the other person turned away from me. I didn't turn away from them once it's like in this way. But no, God is saying like, hey, you turned away from me. It's like, oh, I did. That's why I'm having a miserable, I wish I had puppets. That's why I'm having a miserable life. So then it's like, yeah, stop turning away from me and rejecting me. I'm in your heart. And then we turn back. So stop turning away. That's where the Amit monster comes out. That's the eating the heart out. When we do that turn away. Or when we were in the process of that being turned away. So stop turning away from the divine. Stop rejecting the divine in one's heart. And we're talking about actions, right? Gross actions as well as subtle actions. Thoughts are also like a subtle action. And then those actions, physical actions and thought actions, mind actions, they generate feelings and emotions. And those are also going to be reflecting this turning away from the divine. It's like I was thinking, feeling alone, feeling like one is alone, one is all alone. How can one be away from the presence of the divine? And we also find this in the Sage Amenemopet's teachings. This imba pa netter. I sometimes leave out the pa, the, and I just will say imba netter. Imba netter, imba pa netter. In the presence of divinity. Where is divinity not? Where is divinity not? That you all are welcome to answer. Where is divinity not? Are you in the presence of divinity now? Yes or no? Type it in chat. Are you in the presence of your divine essence now?
Sibajah, there's lots of answers. Ni, always, yes, yes.
Okay, Dua. So T is for turning. Turn towards the immanence. Immanence means like here and now. The immanence, the presence of divine. The imba paneter, imba netter. This is like a little deviation, and you know, it takes us away from the it may take us away from the awareness. But whenever I start saying this, like this idea of like turning towards the divine, I don't know if Sebama, you remember the Three Stooges, and for those who you were back in the day of this little crazy comedy program called the Three Stooges, and I don't remember who would say it, but they would say, and slowly I turn, step by step, inch by inch. You remember that? So every time I get to this panetter, it's like a turn away from it's like, and slowly I turn towards the panetter, step by step, inch by inch. I can't remember the context of it. That's the only part I remember. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to slowly turn, step by step, inch by inch. And if someone is looking at you visually, they may see you turn away. You may turn away from the situation. You may turn away from the person if it's appropriate. If it's like your boss or something, you can turn externally. You're going to turn internally in your shrine. You're going to go to your shrine, and in the shrine is going to be your abnetter, your soul, and you're going to turn internally towards that alignment. Shemspel used the word connection in her submission. And really, it includes any of the Netaru, as I said, which doesn't matter. We're not like, mincing things here. Every Netaru, any Netaru, your tutelary is the same as a SAR in this. That's what you're connecting to it. They're all interrelated, and they all lead to the same destination, and they are all the essence of Nebuchadnezzar. So we're not like making you change, this is like understanding and language and the words and understanding different aspects of your spiritual nature and using imagery from the mythic scriptures to do so. Hopefully not to confuse. The O has a few different aspects. The O is going to be to observe yourself. Like, so you're going to turn, and then you're just going to kind of develop a little bit of an awareness, a conscious awareness. Like, so your mind, you're like where you're standing, what's going on around you, like, and then you're going to notice like what exactly is going on with me, like what's going on in my mind. You're going to maybe notice one of the things they tell you to do in somatic psychology these days is like kind of paying attention to your physical body. Notice where you hold stress and tension. Where do you feel it? Because we feel it. I love shoulders a lot. I mean, this is my shoulders and neck are like probably a big thing, carrying the weight of the world. So where becomes tense? Sometimes people's arms tighten. Sometimes you feel it in your chest tightens. So you can become aware of that, because if you become aware of that, these become little signals later on for you to, well, one, relax so you don't carry stress and dis-ease in the body that becomes actual physical dis-ease. And then also that for you to start, because these signals come on before it comes out as your words or deeds. So if you can catch yourself starting to feel like you're turning away from the divine, which we call tension and stress, if you can get yourself starting to be aware of like the body starting, because the body's getting ready for fight or flight response, right? Because the limbic system has been activated, the egoistic limbic system has been activated. This is a threat to me. This person is threatening my sense of self, my sense of identity, and I have to fight him. I have to fight him for the survival. We are not always fighting for survival of our physical bodies. Like the physiological stress response is inherent in us, is for. We have cultivated that stress response that is natural, that is there to survive, save our lives in times of emergency. We have now attached that to our sense of self. And so a lot of us are fighting for what our beliefs, we can see that in the culture, right? For our ideals, our beliefs, our family, what we feel we need to support us, things we consider me, things we consider mine, all of that egoistic, limited individuality sense of what I am. So that is where that stress comes from. That's where that tension comes from. Because if a lion really is chasing us, or a bear, and we're really in a physical life or that, we need to have our muscles tight. We need to have blood flowing to the muscles. Like, we become serious and we're getting ready to fight or flight. So when we don't have those types of situations and circumstances that are a threat to our physical body, but we have this threat to our sense of self, our egoistic sense of self, then the body still perceives it. The body doesn't differentiate. A threat is a threat. Once we say threat, like a person, a place, a thing, a situation, once we mentally say threat, automatically it's an autonomic nervous system. It's an automatic aspect. We don't even have to think about it. That's why we always end up that's why people do things like they say temporary insanity, or I've known people that have, and I've probably done this too in my lifetime, where in the heat of the situation, I say things that I don't mean. And then afterwards, like the person said, you said this. And I go like, I never said that. I never said that. Because your conscious mind, your higher executive functions of the brain, they get shut down automatically, because you want to only the automated autonomic systems are going to be working, because your whole system is set up to survive and save your life if you are in physical danger. So that gets tied into a psychological sense of danger, and it gets automatically. This is why it's so hard for people who've experienced intense trauma and various, they call the big T trauma, and then the little T traumas, which are just all the little microaggressions and things that you experience in life, because once you determine that whatever situation or people or place or anything is a threat, then the automated system just goes online, because you gave it like permission to do that. You connected the dots and you said, this is a threat. And it says, okay, I know how to handle threats. The stress response says, I know how to handle threats. Every time we get a threat, our sympathetic nervous system is going to kick in to get us out of here, or fight or flight or flee or freeze or whatever we got to do to deal with the situation. Freeze means like we're going to play possum. We're just going to sit here and play like we're dead. And that way, what that does evolutionary for physical threats, like the way the possum does it, that then the animal stops chasing. Like, then they think it's like, oh, this thing is dead. Because a lot of animals have chase instincts, even if they're not hungry. They'll just chase something. So the possum plays dead. It's like, oh, you're no fun anymore. I'll move on. So our animal reptilian brain has those same type of instincts. And so, so that's why the teachings are about removing the psychological sources of suffering. Physical sources of suffering will be alleviated also, but there's some physical sources. I mean, the body's, you stump your toe, it's going to hurt. So we're not talking so much focus on physical sources of suffering, but even the psychological sources of suffering this is known in psychology and health, can intensify the physical sources of suffering. So it will have an effect on physical suffering, but this is psychological suffering that we can do something about. And that's what the teachings are about. If we knew correctly, then we can alleviate our psychological suffering. Why? Because we are aligning our deeper essence. We are realigning the sense of self, not with this phantom, because there's no creature on earth that looks like Set. It's like a phantom aspect that is there. In this only exists in this mystical illusory reality, but it's not the truth of who we are. So we have to know correctly. When we knew correctly, we are shifting our sense of self back to our soul awareness essence, our soul essence, the depth of our being, and then the mind and the body will also fall in line underneath that. The mind will learn and the brain will learn to become rewired. There's a lot of talk about rewiring in psychology these days, and rewiring from, because once you get like a big T trauma, it really shifts your whole way of the way your mind works, your way your brain mind interface works. It shifted so that that limbic system, that reptilian brain, that protective mechanisms gets amplified by that big T trauma, and the little T traumas also do that. So they're doing a lot of rewiring psychology. So that's one level of rewiring. And that's why we recommend that if you've had those experiences, that you work with a psychologist to go through that rewiring to become kind of a normalized personality in terms of your ego personality, to have like a healthy ego personality, not a spiritually purified ego personality, but just like a healthy ego personality that has been rewired to a kind of normal level from the trauma, the big T trauma. And then from there, now spirituality can help you rewire to your soul awareness essence. Does that make sense? Did I lose you all? What do you think? Tiana said, "Oh, I love that." Tiana, what was that you love? So I could just know what you're connecting to. You can type it in or share. Shem's Bell, I see, said, "I remember the Three Stooges." Yeah, they were so silly. Anyone wants to share before we go on?
John, it looks like Shams Bell wrote, Uja, that makes a lot of sense. Len wrote, eloquently put, we have to handle the ego first, otherwise we won't be receptive to the spiritual teachings. And I think with Tiana, she might have been also talking about with the, when you were doing the slowly I turned.
Okay. Dua.
Uja, Shimsville. I wanted to say that, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because of when we adjust the ego and take acknowledgement of the trauma and then even the things that you've chosen to do, thinking it's okay, and then realizing later I traumatized myself by doing such an act. And we can forgive ourselves for it, or understand the situation that we was in and why that was the, in our thinking at that time, the choice that we had to make. And when we move through that and go through the therapy and the rewiring of our ego and how we see the world and see ourselves in it, it helps us to come to terms with all of those egotistic things that we've chosen to do, thinking it was okay at the time, and not beat ourselves up, not hold ourselves like victim to those things, and traumatize ourselves more by being like, calling ourselves, degrading names because we made such a choice. So we can move through that and be better with our ego. Then it's easier to grow in spiritual, mystical understandings and teachings. That's how.
That's up to so we can be like more impersonal in our dealing with ourselves and the world, not personalize it so much that this has happened to me and I did this. Even, the sense that I did this from a psychological perspective, like you use the words like choose things we chose to do. And a lot of it, as you said, comes from the unconscious are you choosing. Like we're not consciously sitting there like, I want to get myself in a lot of trouble. Some people do that, but not of us. Some people know it's trouble and they want to get into that trouble, but it's like most of us don't, most people don't. So Dua for sharing that, it comes from the unconscious, and even that sense that I did this or this happened to me, even that has to be kind of let go of, but has to be let go of from the spiritual detachment aspect, not from an ego perspective, because then it will create a narcissistic personality. I think is like also what you're sharing. Because like, oh, I love the teachings. I murdered 10 people. You know what? I didn't do anything. God did it. I didn't do it. So it creates that type of a personality to, if you don't go through the phase of normalizing your sense of, your ego your ego sense of, what I am. So you have to like normalize before you spiritualize, is the way we used to kind of say it. Psychologically normalize, psycho-spiritually I put normalize, because I think psychological normalization in this world is not necessarily healthy. So psycho-spiritually normalize before you spiritually mystically mysticalize is how I would put it. So yeah.
Say that. I'm sorry. Say that again. You said ego normalize, mystical, spiritual.
Yeah, I
Normalize,
guess
and
I would put
mystical?
like psychologically normalized, but I'm putting it because I don't want to leave psychology alone. Like this world is just a psychological world. This world is a spiritual process. So spirituality here, I mean in terms of a general open spirituality, sense of spirit, whatever that manifests as. Not necessarily people on the mystical pathway to discover, I am Nebuchadnezzar, I'm transcendental consciousness, but people who are, moving towards that in a spiritual, salad bar spirituality way, even, people who are moving towards that. So I'm saying like have a psychological, psycho-spiritual normalization, I guess, process. And then from that, when that becomes, so you're still dealing in the teachings, the spiritual teachings, but you're working on a psychological aspect to kind of, normalize the personality, not to personalize it so much, because even the personalization is abnormal, even from as a cultural, a mystical world psychological perspective. That's like not normal. That's like goes into a lot of um, abnormal psychological aspects of the personality. So we have to normalize to that even. And then from there, then you can go through, so psycho-spiritual and then spiritual. Now your spirituality, you're going to hone it a little bit more into a mystical process. So that spiritual, mystical, then normalization. That is like the who I am. I am the transcendental self. So that we still have an awareness of our mind body, the place that our mind body holds, the place that Set holds. Set protects the bark of Ra. Even after enlightenment is attained. So Set still holds, has a duty to do. The mind body still has a place. It is to be the vehicle of the divine expression, dynamic expression of the divine in time and space. And so that has its place, but the sense of self is related to that. Here we're focusing on soul awareness, which is relates to Nebuchadnezzar awareness, same thing. Did that help or explain better or give that
SDJA, there's something in the chat. Would you like me to read it?
Sure.
It's from Len, and he said, I have an example. I first bought Moata's book, Book of the Dead, in 2006. I couldn't absorb it because of the person I was at the time. After a life-altering experience in 2009, I picked it up again, and I was ready to grow spiritually and drastically change my perception on life. At that time, it started to resonate, and I've been a student ever since. I have many of your books. That's it.
Do for sharing. Yeah, so that's a very good example of working through, and it's very important to work through those aspects, because it that in itself, like we think like, oh no, I want to be in the higher teachings, I don't have time to work through these are lower, but it's a brick wall that's there, that is there, and so it's an obstacle. It's in like located, and I don't, according to whatever the experience was with the energy centers, the blockages are there. So if that's your spiritual work, is to remove those blockages. That is the spiritual work, It's not lower or higher. It's like if I'm trying to go to Whole Foods today and there's an obstruction in the road, is it lower or higher for me to find a way around the obstruction to get to Whole Foods? Like, would we say that? We'd say like, oh, SDJA, you have, there's this obstruction here. You have to deal with it. I don't have time to deal with this obstruction. I want to get to Whole Foods. If I decide to go around the obstruction, when I say go around, I mean like work through the obstruction in a way, like not let the obstruction let it be a block there, not remove it from being a block. If I work through it, I go around the obstruction. So I guess let me put it this way. I can't go around. I have to go through. The obstruction is there. Everything is blocked off. I can only go that route. Say like a tree had fallen, like a whole bunch of tree branches had fallen, or how things fall out of people's trucks. Say like a bag of garbage and something had fallen out, something I can move had fallen out of somebody's truck. So I can sit there and I go like, oh, I don't want to deal with this obstruction. Why is this obstruction here? I just want to get to Whole Foods. I just want to get to Whole Foods. I don't care about this obstruction. All the time I'm sitting there belly aching about the obstruction and not wanting to take the time to remove it is time that I'm not getting to my goal. And if I don't remove it, I'll just be sitting there and then maybe I'll turn home and say like, well, I didn't want to deal with that obstruction, but it means I didn't get to go to Whole Foods also. So these are not like lower than, less than, they're just purifications of the personality. So yeah, observe yourself, your mind, body. What is the emotion? And I'm having in here, observe it and name that emotion. If you're naming it, you're not suppressing it. And the reason you're going to name it, because remember I said it was suppression, the old version of suppression, and then the next one, S, was substitution. So this is like the substitution part of it. It was a substitute the opposite. Well, how are you going to substitute the opposite if you don't like put a name to what you're feeling, to what you're thinking, to what you're doing even? So you have to name it. And in psychology, there's this, you all may have heard, like name it to tame it. When you name the emotion, actually from a reptilian brain, limbic system, body, physical body, you're actually going now into your reasoning aspect of the brain at work. So that means from the mind aspect, you're going into like a Jehuti, you're going into an Ampu distorting mind, a Jehuti intellect. You're attuning yourself to those processes. So like your Jehuti mind, your intellect can now flow through your brain. And so your body can have the effects in how it feels, how it thinks. And your mind can also expand into that. So it has that effect. But here we're just going to like say, just name it. So pick the opposite value and virtue. And if I can continue on, hopefully I get through, so we're doing Wednesday, because I didn't get to do Wednesday as a replacement for last Friday. I had to cancel last Friday. And then we're doing next Friday. And I'm hoping to get through this section of it and get back on the flowing through the submissions. Although this is still Shem's Bell, and I think it's also Shem's Hannah, and there might have been a couple others that related this precept. I have not eaten my heart out that we're working on in a very elaborate way here. Okay, so yeah, opposite. So we're going to name it so you can pick the opposite value and virtue. And I've shared with you before that you can think, although the soul, the deep soul awareness does not like a nebuchadnezzar does not have any attributes really, like, because it's like the aspect of nebuchadnezzar is transcendental. Yet when enlightened sages are stabilized in that awareness of their deeper transcendental essence, and they I don't want to put come out of it, but when they express themselves, or they are expressing themselves, how we recognize them, how they are, their personality, if we look at how they are, we will notice that they emanate these attributes of like, they're very joyful, they're very loving, they're very peaceful. So these attributes are like a fragrance of the personality that are part of the enlightenment process. and they are the fragrance of the soul. So when we're turning to the opposite, we're turning to a value or virtue, we're returning to something that is attuned to our soul essence. So breathe in the fragrance that the divine virtue emanating from the shrine. So we've turned away, stop turning away, we've turned towards, and then all of a sudden we smell this thing, this fragrance of the divine virtue emanating from the shrine, as we start to think about what is the opposite of this. And then we're going to reflect it in one's actions. So if we're thinking like gentleness, peace, whatever it is, a gentle smile in the face that we see on the images of the iconographies from Kemet, a gentle smile about the royal personality. Relax. If we're thinking about peace, we're thinking about joy, we're thinking like, is my body like embodying this? Or are we still like, have our dukes up? It's like, I'm peaceful, I'm joyful, I'm peaceful. It may start out like that, but then at some point it's like, oh, this doesn't go with being peaceful or joyful. Oh, okay, I'm peaceful, I'm joyful. New peace, new joy, right? And so we have to become, because if our body is like, I have to fight, I'm under threat, and then we're also trying to connect to our soul, like those things don't go together. There's still blocks there. So if we are able to, if we relax the body and the body like relaxes, then the body in itself sends signals to say like, hey, there's no threat here. It sends signal to the mind, and the mind is going like, oh, what's the problem? There's no problem here. And then soul is there like, hello, peace, love, joy, bliss, hello. And we can, oh yeah, that's my true nature. And we can take that breath in, and however you want to image or experience, you're going into to shrine, you're going to open the shrine related to the shrines that you've made that I shared earlier, and you're going to enter that shrine, and you're going to stay there, and you're going to just connect to your deeper essence. Nuk correctly. Nuk ger, Nuk hetep, Nuk awat ab, Nafu. Nafu means to breathe, and it means like freedom. And then the P is the peace. So we're going to center in selves in hetep. That's what hetep means. If you remember, non-duality, the peace of non-duality, the peace of the who I am. Nuk asar, Nuk soul, Nuk abneter, the divinity of the heart, Nuk nebeger, Nuk ra, Nuk asad, Nuk heteru. Heru and Heru, one and the same. Nuk Heru. So we're going to embody the virtue as emanating from your true essence. You're going to go deep until you feel some sense of being reconnected. Use the word reconnected there because that's one Shem's Bell used in her submission. Connected. Some sense of a transformative divine alignment. And this can be, a breath can do this to you. A shift of feeling in alignment with your own deeper attributes and essence. A thought can do this to you, a sense of connection with Abneter, the divinity within your heart. So this is a stopgap measure. This is not like we are sitting here, like Sebama talked yesterday in the new book, How Long Does It Take to Attain Enlightenment? This is not like you're trying to get to enlightenment in this. This is not an enlightenment. It can turn into that. You can connect to the divinity of your heart and decide to go into deeper into 45-minute, deeper soul aware witness experience. That's fine. But, for this is like our stopgap measure technique. And you can modify it, and you don't have to use this. You may already have your own stopgap technique, and that's fine. Just here, I want to connect it to soul awareness. And then the P also is for practical reality. Proceed now with a peace of heart from your sense of and your experience of soul awareness and enlightenment and oneness. And the one's transcendental self. Whatever it is you want to find in the world, you don't look to find, you're not trying to find the light in the other person, to experience the light of a consciousness in the other person. It's BYOL, bring your own light. You know, I guess there's that saying in Western society, with their virtues, their anti-virtues, their mystical virtues, bring your own beer, bring your own bottle. Here you're going to bring your own BYOH, bring your own Hatep, BYOP, bring your own peace, BYOJ, bring your own joy. Because once you connected to the source within you and you refilled your personality again, then however you approach life, it'll be with that sense. And I know some aspirants have been using the stop already before, and we're just going into a very soulful depth of it right now. Any comments or any more? I guess. Breath. Yeah, I would add is expansion of heart, and a nafu, to breathe, to expand, to experience. It's part of the word. It's like a sail. So it gives that idea of like a sail, of breath, of air movement, of expansion, of freedom. LENDUA, the acronym. So soul awareness and soul. Yeah, I mean, it's a good acronym because it's like, stop. I shared with you at one point, I was also when I was thinking of the stop, that Diana Ross song, Stop in the Name of Love. And so I developed another little one related to that, a musical one, like how they do the hand movement. Stop in the name of love before you break your heart. They think of it that way. Think it over. So it's that just stop and then think it over, I am not, my little peasant that I share with you, the peasant Zehem et Tep. I still have to show you the little PowerPoint I made. The pounder, that's in my peasant, means like the hat of the north and the south together. So gives that sense of unity. And Zehem Tep means starting to rain here. Zehem Tep means pounder, like pounding it into the head. So you're pounding that sense of unity into the head. That's the idea. Unity, pounding the sense of unity, of non-duality. You're pounding it into the tep, into the head. That's that saying. And so that's what we're working to do. Just keep pounding it into the head.
Can you spell those words, please?
I just have it written on my little hammer. I have a whole slide presentation that I prepared for you all that I was going to show for one of the chat ones. ZEHEM, and then TEP, TEP. And then the first one, PESCHENT, is the double crown. ZEHEM is the pounder, mace, grinding it in, working it in. And then TEP is the head. Okay, so here I'm, Sebama's using a lot of different terms, and I just want to say here, I'm not trying to do the whole of Sebama's soul awareness book or anything like that. Here, when I say soul awareness, at one level, at the level where we are talking about the myth and becoming aware that we are the Heru disposition, and the what is the set disposition, and the who we are as a Heru disposition, identifying ourselves, nuking correctly. I'm thinking of it also at a level of just become, I didn't know that, just becoming aware, ooh, I am more soul than I am mind body. Ooh, the soul is my deeper. I get into trouble if I don't connect with my soul essence when I do things in the world of time and space. It's like, oh, it's like, so it's become, and then it's like becoming aware in our lived experience, like, oh, I didn't recognize the universal spiritual reality, as I'm doing all these actions. Like, so, which means like, I'm not reflecting on my nature of being Nebuchadnezzar. I'm not, Sal Nebuchadnezzar. I'm not thinking of my Nebuchadnezzar nature. I'm not doing my Hekau, my mantra. I'm not doing my chant. I'm just like letting the mind run amok and thinking about all these worldly things. What this person is doing, what's going on in politics over here, all what's happening in people's degraded, personalities. I'm just doing that. So it's just, and then it's just like, wait a minute, like, no, let me just kind of stay in connection to my sense, to whatever degree I understand it intellectually, feeling wise, my glimpses from my Shetty, the essence of awareness that I am already that. Let me connect to that. So having that kind of a lived awareness, conscious like awareness, like you're consciously aware of like, oh, I didn't do this. I didn't put this here, it's a mindfulness experience like they use in psychology, but this is a mindfulness that flows from the abnetter, from the soul. And so it's just having that awareness, understanding and awareness of that aspect. So I mean it in that overview sense as well. And then we'll also be using some of the deeper ways that Sibamai uses these terms as well as we go through. So soul awareness terminology, developing a lived sense of a deeper essence that is you, your mystical lineage that comes from your mind when you need support as the first thought before your ancestral lineage. So like, right, something happens in time and space and you feel like, oh my goodness, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. I'm not talking about, saying like, oh, I'm to be so independent. I have no physical supports in time and space. Because like, right, you may not have physical supports in the time and space, but your soul awareness has developed, or let's say raw awareness has developed time and space in such a way that we all have supports through other physical beings and situations and circumstances. So I'm not talking about negating those supports that are there. Those are I'm talking about this. There's certain things that you can only get from your soul, and it flows into the personality. And when the personality is not connected to the soul and doesn't have an idea that it's coming from the soul, the personality claims it, and then you just have a very limited superficial. And it's not till some trauma happens or some peril, one of the perils that we talked about, that then it's like the personality is not able to take you across that wilderness, that challenge. And so you turn towards your deeper spiritual essence. It's like, oh, please help me, God. Please help me, soul, please. And then, it does help you. But then you lose that connectedness that it was what helped you. And because it helped you, because it has the resources to help you. That's where the resources are. The soul has certain resources. Of course, food banks in the world of time and space, like, the supermarket, the grocery store, your garden, that has resources to feed your physical body. But there are certain resources that your soul has to feed your soul essence. And so you have to go there for that. That's the only place it grows, in a place that nothing grows. So to come to that point where when something happens, you shift and you're going like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can handle this. How am I going to get through this? Instead of start thinking like, oh, the money, the bank, the this, and all of these things, those come later. Think source resource. Think your ancestral, think, oh, I can ask my family. Thank goodness I have, if I don't have a place to live, I can go live with my family. Thank goodness I have those supports. Fine. I'm not like knocking those. Those are your ancestral supports, your ancestral lineage and supports. Fine. That's practical world reality. But what is your soul resource and what is your soul ancestry? That's what needs to come into the mind first. That's that shift. go to the shrine and the Abnetter first. Be resourced and be provisioned. And then you'll have the resources and the provisions in the practical life more easily recognized and situated. So that's what I'm talking about, soul awareness also. Is just recognizing that it is very crucial to your experience in time and space. So here the focus is on soul, Asar, lineage of Haru, to Asar, to Ra, to Nebuchadnezzar. In this presentation, for those in this phase or who are back and forth in and out of this phase, to develop that sense of rusher, so one can act with a sense of Rashrat. It's supposed to be F there, it's supposed to be a sense of Rashrat. Okay, more definitions, more words. Who knows? Shout it out. I'm running out of time. Shout it out. Rusher, Rashrat. Quickly, quickly. 1, 2, 3.
Rusher, recognition of universal spiritual reality.
Rashrat. What's the AP stands for? Oh, sorry. No, there's no H in there. I kept putting an H this morning and deleting it. So it's Rushrat. RUSRAT. Anybody knows what the AT is? Shout it out. Shout it out. Turn on your mics quickly.
Acting with truth.
Acting with truth. So you recognize this universal spiritual reality and you're aware of this deeper essence and then use that as a basis to act with truth. Very good. So that's ma'at. That's ethical conscience. That's Sebama derives it from Sage Moped. So a lived sense that I am not my physical body. I am not my mind and senses. I am soul in terms of the Assyrian myth, mystical lineage. There's a deeper sense to me, an ocean-like depth to my being. I think we're just going to probably get through this part today. I'm just laying the groundwork, connecting it back to our frameworks to make, I want you to be sure that, SDJA is not on a tangent. This is our framework. SDJA soul awareness, mystical, illusory soul cultivation training world. So that's what this world is, this creation is. It's a metaphysical, meta means above, like not the physical body. It's like the aspects of our being that we can't see through our physical eyes and our experience through our physical senses. It's a metaphysical, mystical, illusory soul cultivation training world. That's what it is. It's not a place for us to come and get comfy and enjoy what's going on here or find security. There's always what I call a fly in the soup. Like you're eating a soup and there's a fly in it. The soup may be the best soup in the world, something you long for, you crave for, and there's a fly in it. And so that's why, situations and things, the ego personality, desires and wants, it always comes to a crashing halt. There's challenges, there's lack of fulfillment, because it's not supposed to be that. It's not supposed to be for safety and security in terms of our limbic reptilian brain being, getting co-joined with our egoistic sense of self. And then it says I need everything to be just safe and secure. And, for that, it's not meant to be that. It's for we to discover I'm not the body. I'm not the mind. I am soul. And the more we are, I am body, I'm mind, I'm ego personality, and that egoism there, the more we're going to, and we come into the teachings really clinging that, the more we cling to that, the more we're going to feel traumatized by even the teachings, because the teachings is definitely trying to rip our understanding of who we are away from this, I am my mind, I'm my body, and the sense of self and my safety and everything comes from this, that the teachings are saying you're not that. So this again, why that normalization of the ego personality is important, to have a sense of self. That's what the ego personality is, but something that is not so much tied to a a sense of survival and a sense of security, so much so that it becomes painful, very painful and disorienting and destabilizing when the teachings try to do what they're meant to do. So that's why, the psychological support may be needed, and even a break from the teachings that are like pulling it apart, because though that's what we say we want to do from our soul level, there's a deeper essence that wants to do that. We have to take care of the ego personality. You remember in the teachings, right? At one point, when again, Set couldn't tell Haru and said who was who, she speared Set, and Set cried out. And what did she do? She withdrew the harpoon. She let him go. Because the ego personality also has to go through an adjustment to this change that's going on, this normalization, like, oh, the sense of I am does not relate to my mind and my body. My physical body is going to die. It is mortal. But there's a deeper essence to me that is immortal, that is eternal. And that's my true essence. And getting all of that integration, takes time, in degrees over time. And it's a lot. And that's what this creation of Ra is for. He even puts himself out there in the myth that Sibamat talked about, the myth of Aset and Ra. He even puts himself out there that, like, yeah, Aset, you have to kind of destroy me. It doesn't mean like you go around destroying creation, but you have to destroy your conditioned reptilian brain conditioning, amystical mindset of what creation is. That has to be destroyed so that you could embody the fullness of what Ra is, and then Ra opens up to your transcendental never-chair experience. So understanding about your soul mystical lineage, having awareness when you say I, me, mine, you are speaking about your who, your Haru's mystical lineage, or your what, the set, to understand if you're speaking about, to have that discernment. Are you speaking about your who? I'm not telling you not to speak about your what, but I'm just saying to call your what a what and call your who a who. So who, Haru's mystical lineage, your what, the set ego personality. And the set ego personality has these three major categories, where it's like what we call dull, where it's like really a lot of the vices, what we call like evil, like the negative. And then it has a spectrum where it gets less and less dull, and it runs into the spectrum of agitation, of running around doing, get this, to be happy, I have to do this, and then that kind of runs its course, and it thins out, and it runs into the spectrum of what we call lucidity, which is more of a calmness, but it can be egoistic calmness, like, oh, I have enough money to buy this house on the beach overlooking the ocean and here, and I have enough money for the best insurance, and I have money to travel here. When the hurricane's coming, I'll go here. And it's like it can be a pampering calm, because I have enough money, or I have enough whatever resources to just feel comfortable in time and space. I finally have my resources and time and space, and I'm comfortable. And if something happens over here, I just throw money at it, fix it, so I don't have to get disturbed mentally. And so that's a kind of dull calmness. We don't want that. But that's a good level of calmness, that like a level of purification. It's better to be in that situation, but then we have to learn to become a spiritual serenity, calm, which is at the soul level. So we're developing that quality of discernment, ego personality, or soul aware witness, or that we call abnet or asar soul. So that's one of the things I mean by the soul awareness. Understanding about your soul's mystical lineage. And now we're going to get into the attributes. We'll venture into the attributes this morning. The attributes we're going to focus on as a part of our stop gap technique. It's when we do our turning towards, or imbapanetter, turning towards the divine, the immanent presence, and when we're doing in our opposite, when we're going to name our vice, if you want to put it that way, our egoistic expression, and we're going to turn towards our virtuous expression. So that's why we're looking at the virtues as attributes of the soul, And then Sebama, in his book Awakening, he gets into the nature of this the soul aware witness, as he calls it, the witness in consciousness. Again, we can relate it to the abnetter and operating what life is like, operating from the seat of the soul. That's the subject of Sebama's book, and I'm not going into that in detail here. We're just using the terminology to just lightly touch on it, still keeping true to our frameworks and our themes. Sebama's soul awareness witness, the abnetter, the soul. We will also use that as a theme, relating it to Asar as a soul in our myth. The soul, nature of soul, its capacity as a witness in consciousness, to be unaffected, to be abidingly serene. So this is why I'm sharing that with this Harifi personality, I'm separating. It's not really it's not separate, I'm not trying to get you to go into any psychological dissociation, which is the abnormal mental states. I'm getting you to understand these two dispositions and discern these two dispositions. Why? Because the Heru nature is aligned with the soul and this unaffected, serene, abidingly serene state. It's separate from our mind, body, ego, personality. And we'll see that in a little bit. So I want you to have this discernment that this Heru aspect is the who I am, and use your self-effort to shift from your ego-based identity to your soul Asar identity with your mystical lineage, your Sao Nebuchadnezzar, awareness of Nebuchadnezzar that we talked about it, your awareness of Nebuchadnezzar awareness. Disciplinarily, depending on your level of spiritual evolution, wherever you are, anywhere from disciplinarily to glimpses, and to, work moving towards establishment. Any questions or confusions? Are we doing okay? Are we kind of hanging in there?
Doing okay, me.
Everyone else doing okay? Any questions, any clarifications? Of course, this will be available for you in KMTTV. And KMTTV, it's a membership program, the repository. And while the series are going on, it's being made in its own little section that has free access. So you can go back and look at them.
Me, I have a question about the pounder. Is that on your Etsy? Can we get one? Or
My little pounder?
Yes, nee. Can I get one?
I bought it in Amazon. It's like it came through. I came 3 in a pack.
3 in a pack.
And all I did was because I got it. I liked it because it was red. And if you know the Passion crown, like the 2 crowns, the crown of the north is red, and then the crown of the south is white. So that was my idea, like the red, and then because I couldn't find exactly what I wanted, so I just wanted to show you all. So I put a little white crown there. You can see the white crown amidst the red, and then I put on so I put another crown here. If I show you the red and white crown, that's my Passion, the double crown, and then in the other side I put my Zehem Tep, so I can remember it, the words. And this is to be found. This came out of the Kemetic New Year presentations, which I think is available also somewhere. When talked about a set, it was a specific theme in the day of a set, the birthday of a set, taken from the Kamambo Temple. And if in the repository also, I think it's in Sebama's Reserves lectures, he went through this particular image, this particular scene that is there in this Kamambo Temple don't know if I said temple, I've said I'm in the Kamambo temple. And so there's this particular panel that basically talks about this Peshen Zehemtep. So I've been, since Sebama did the first time the Kemetic New Year, and he brought out this Zehemtep, this pounder. I've been trying to like remember it from year to year since then. And this year when we did the replays, it's like I did my screen, shot of it. And then I went to look it up because it's like, there it is. There's the pounder.
Yes.
So I bought this just as a little, it's like a mace and,
Wow.
something to pound and grind and just to use here and, just to be, again, something physical that connects with my physical body and in a humorous, joking way, because when we use spiritual humor and in this way, like we relax, we laugh with it, it becomes a joke. And there's a part of our personality when we relax, it understands at a deeper level, it connects. It's more impersonal. We're not taking it like, oh, my ignorance, I'm knocking my ego. It's like we're not taking it personally.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, life is knocking me with this unity right now, is knocking my duality here. And boy, does my personality feel it. Oh my gosh. Psychological pain. Oh, I'm experiencing psychological pain right now because of this challenge I'm facing in life. Oh my goodness. And suffering. Unity, get knocked into me. Hatap. Any of it, like whatever you want to do with it, quietly or fun wise. And if you have children, they like things that are a kind of fun. And then they can help you remember that kind of fun. It's like, Mom, you need your passions and tap. And they're learning the teachings that way too. Because kids like to remind you when you're not acting, doing the things you told them to do.
True.
It's up. Or husbands or wives, they also like that too, especially if they're not in the teachings. They want you to calm down. It's like, you need to go. We've had students that say that their spouses will say like, I think you need to go in your room and meditate. Now we'd say you need to go in your kara, your shrine, and be with your abnetter for a little bit there. So I'm pretty stressed out.
Uja Sebaja. Just for clarification, so the white crown is a jet, right?
Yeah, there's the Deshret. Go ahead, and then the Hedjet, right? Correct.
So the Ejet and the red one is the Deshret.
Correct.
It's when they come together. It's the double crown patience.
Exactly,
right?
the Peshet, and it symbolizes unity of higher and lower. The unity that is Sima. I don't have a really nice on this slide. This is my older slides. Like when you see the images of the royal personality in the middle and Set on one side and Heru on the other side, and they're both bestowing, the ongs or, some sort of blessings. And that's the purified Set, the purified personality, the personality devoid of egoism. It's still an ego personality because it still has a sense of individuality. That's what our personalities will always have, a sense of individuality. But a sense of individuality, not a sense of I am this individual, and I'm disconnected from everything around me, and and that's egoism. So yes, I will after this. I will try to show that. Just remind me, and I will show the little PowerPoint I put together, or I'll try to bring it to the. It's just the computers have been sort of back and forth and everything, so I'll try to bring it to the next Kanum Never group chat that we have, not the EM1 chat, but the Kanum Never. And just to, really dive into the Abnetter and soul awareness. Some of you are doing that with the books. And just to remind you or let you share with you that in April, I'll be starting a class where we'll be going through, it'll be on, I think, Monday nights, because that's the only night that's kind of free. We'll be going through the mental health and ancient Egyptian psychology book, Seja Menamopis, because I really very much appreciate Sage Metamopet. And it'll be like a line by line reading. We'll be starting with, I think part 2 is what it's called. So anybody joining, you can read through the previous parts so we get to part 2. And it'll be line by line and discussion, emphasis on that. So there'll be information going out to register for that. That'll be a registration process. And if anybody's planning to attend that, I'm giving you full warning. You got to show up with be able to put your image on the screen of the computer. It's going to be like a classroom where I want to be able to see each other. I may not even in that line, I may not even have the book up on the screen. I probably will have my copy of the book, and you all would have to have your copies of the book. And we will share reading. I'm not going to be reading everything. I don't even know if I'll be reading anything, but I won't be reading. Reading will go around. We'll take turns reading. Parts of it, like paragraph by paragraph, because it's so profound. Everything. To parse things.
Sebaja, and you also wanted not only the book but the guidebook as well. Am I correct?
The guidebook we can use as like our homework, because the guidebook has the homework in there as well, so you can do that as well. I guess we can decide at that time. If I wasn't planning to necessarily go through the guidebook, but we would do some sharing. So like whatever you would go through the guidebook, and then you would bring that to the topics and discussions and sharings that we do, like, bring in your own insights from it. And if you did want to discuss something that was there, we could do that. It's going to be like, open format, but you have to be there. You have to be present. It's like, no, I'm not saying you can't listen by phone or anything like that. I know things happen in life. Like, something happens, you can't attend this weekend and you can't attend that weekend. That's fine. That life goes on. That might even happen for me. At the same time, the stable aspect of you have to show up to class and be there, because it's a sharing group, and it really depends on us kind of being in community with each other as we go through that. That's my idea about it. So it's about like relationships, relational, and talking to each other. And if we were in physical presence, we would like be in this room, and we'd form in like a nice big circle or chairs or whatever, and we'd be reading it and discussing it in that way. So I'm trying to recreate that same kind of sense, but an online presence. And whoever shows up, and whoever wants to join, because I know the time and other aspects of it. If finances become an issue, you can always just text me or something, and I believe that finances should never be an obstacle to one's spiritual evolution if one is sincere. So
Sebaja, there's a question asked, but Hannah is asking, Uja, can one join after the April start time?
One can join at any time, just it will be again in that format. Yeah. And if one is like not able to join in April because of finances, but then you're getting some finances after, or like tax return or something, so you'll join after, I would say just reach out to me and let me know that's the issue, and we can do a partial scholarship, or you can let me know what it is, do a donation. So what we can work it out. We do have our our bills to pay as well, and our expenses to take care of. So, and at the same time, there can be accommodation. So I'm going to be doing that, and in March, probably like the last Saturday in March, Sivma is going to also be doing talks on specific sections and topics and themes. So he's not doing a line by line going through of each of the books for this particular program. He's going to pick different sections and topics from the 2 books, and possibly an alternate, and go through these, give some depth to it. And so he's going to start that in March. So I think that's probably what we have time for. I think we're going to leave it there today.
Uja, do you have a time for April? Do you know what time you would do it?
It's probably going to be like not too late, not too early in the evening. Like I was thinking, I think I can't remember. I think I set up maybe like around 7:15, trying to like do it within like an hour and a half. We can check it out and see how far we get. Like an hour might be enough. Like I put an hour and a half because by the time I have technical difficulties, but by the time we meet and then we do our check-in and we do our, greetings and we do our opening prayers and, we do our closing prayers, and then, questions and answers. So anyway, it's like probably an 7:15 to 8:15, 8:45, like that. 8:30/8:45.
Joe, you were considering a Monday. Is that still valid?
Yeah, I think Monday for now because I think this series will still be going on as well. And I said I'm just trying to really get through what I call the part 1 and or part 2, I guess, really, which is what we're going through the topics for all of those who submitted. And then my plan is like when we've gone through that, then I'll have you all read your full submissions and then, have discussions for the full submissions, fill in any gaps that we did not cover in terms of discussion, because I really think like we're going through all levels of discussion for this topic, frustration and spiritual path. So I think like when we finish this first group, we're actually doing, we're not only just understanding it, we're also coming out with like, how to handle it, how to approach it, with our stop technique that we just went through, and how to handle the frustration as well and things like that. So, yeah. So I think this will continue between Fridays and Sundays. I really want to, what I would like to do with Sundays, I would like to kind of free up Sundays. So I want to get through this series, The Frustration and the Spiritual Path. I'm enjoying it. And at the same time, I want to get through it because I want Sundays to also be available for, like the devotional theme. They're going through team and going my THs, I still have to consciously think of when they're there and when they're not with my accent. So the devotional team, they're going through the Assyrian Resurrection book again, the Ancient Egyptian Bible in the devotional, which comes on before this program. So if you don't catch that and watch that, it inspire you to join it. It's very good. I meant to say Shem's Bell. I really appreciated your closing reflections. All of their closing reflections are very, very good and profound. They work in them by themselves, and it just reflects their engagement and their understanding and their experience and with the teachings. And if anybody else wants to be a part of the devotional team, we always welcome new members. If somebody wants to try it, we'll just, sometimes others want to retire a little bit. And so you can always just let us know. But yes, I think they'll post it in the email if they have the email group and in the Signal group or the email group. I can't remember. Anyway, they'll post the recording from today. So I encourage you to listen to that. And it's just so much always correlates with what I'm talking about because all the teachings kind of like correlate and integrate. So it just gives you a deeper depth into your own purification process with the teachings. So, and speaking of that, I didn't have it this time, but for next time, that slide with the Nebjedu, if somebody from the devotional team can like have that handy. I think I put it in a slide presentation, but I don't know which one it is. It wasn't in this one. I couldn't find it, but I know I did. So anyway, you can have it handy and just remind me, like, so on Friday or Wednesday rather, just remind me so you can read it, because that's relevant to what we're discussing as well too. Okay, Hetep, any other comments or questions? before we conclude? And do for joining.
Uja,
Uja.
as part of the market, yeah, Ni, I'd like to say a few words on the assignment about creating the Kara.
Oh,
Yeah, Ni, first of all, Dua for suggesting that, because like it's only when you like get your hands to it, like you realize how important it is, because in that process, let's say it brought forth some memories about the teachings, like what I've seen, what I've heard. So when creating this Kara, I had memories from the temple of Asar in Abydos, like when you're in the Asar, I think it's projection room. When you're about to go out, you see the two serpents like on the side of that projection room. Like the the serpent power is active, and that there's a straight line going from that projection room to the screen room, and in that room you see Jiuchi harnessing this serpent power duality and transferring it into non-duality to Asar in that room. So when I was trying to create this Kara, I was thinking to myself, like, how can I express this feeling of going from the noise of the world, this duality, to that place of Ger and non-duality. So just by thinking of that, it took me back to the temple, and it also reminded me of the teaching. I don't know which one it was when Ra uh, decreted that the Urajit had to be put on the front, on the top of the doors of like all the temples. And yeah, so much dua, because by doing this assignment, uh, it was like everything, all the RU that was in my unconscious, in my app, about the teachings, like came forth. And in doing that, it wasn't just like a memory. It was like uh,
Uja, I
it was
apologize. I
oh,
missed some of what you said because
okay.
I got disconnected. I hope the recording is still recording from all along. It just
Right.
went off. I was trying to show. Actually, I'm not even going to bother to show it because I got in trouble trying to show the slides of your shrine. I don't know. I guess.
So the bottom line of what I was saying is that do well for the assignment, because uh, in in actuality, it wasn't like not only memories from all the teachings, but also it was a opportunity for me to connect like with those teachings, like they were resonated from the unconscious mind. Yeah. So, and I don't know if Sebaja is still there. I lost her. And can you hear me? Can
I apologize. It did it again. So I am truly not showing it. I'm not sure what's happened. Every time I try to share it, the whole system shuts down. So
all
I
right.
apologize. You were last thing I heard you were sharing was that you realized how when you were trying to make it with your hands and how it was connecting you to the Temple of Asar, where those images are.
But the bottom line is that although it was connecting me to those memory, but while doing it, it was in real time. I'm looking for better words, but like in real time, it was not like just a memory. It was like I was actually experiencing like those idea or teachings of doing it. Yeah, and he made me, and I was thinking like those sages and priests who constructed the temples, and or even the Perha who commissioned all those temples, that that experience of building or constructing this temple is in itself in an overwhelming, like partaking in real time of those how can I say it, of those realities, like of those deep insights. Like they were like taking some invisible like experiences and making them visible, like expressing them. So this is the process of creation, and by reverting that, you can like go from all those creations and teachings and go back to those invisible, let's say, realities or qualities of the divine. Yeah, so that what I was feeling when creating this Kara, and I enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed it because you had to take all those measurements to make sure that they were like visibly like harmonious and like not perfect, but like harmonious. Like so, doing that, it was enjoyable, and like it was sweet. It was like, yeah, it was sweet. So much do have for suggesting that assignment. That at the beginning, I will be honest, I was like, okay, this is I'm just gonna build another like Kara, but I didn't see like the feeling aspect of doing that. Yeah, do I again. So,
Do for sharing. I think that that expresses it. So I shared a lot of my like spiritual, what I call my spiritual, my mystical art, and you know, some I have AI do, but when I do it myself, that's what you describe is the experience. Like you cannot draw an image of Ma'at and not everything that you know, and like feeling, thoughts, feeling, experience, like just even things you can't even name, aspects of stuff that's coming up you can't even name, put a name to, is all embodied in that experience. Same thing you do it of a set or you know, anything like that. I know, you know, Bas Paquette does the clothing, the spiritual clothing, and you know, so she, you know, does the embroidery, and you know, with the Netaru also, and that same experience there. So whatever your art is, it allows you to have that creative connection to your spiritual process in whatever way, and it may be like making could be making a food in the shape of a cookie in the shape of the Ankh, right, or something like that. You know, anything could be. Um, and I just wanted to you all to have that experience, that it doesn't have to be like, it could be a big project like you see here at Abu Simbel, you know, or a temple, but also I wanted you to have that little experience. And I appreciate what you said. It's like, how can you start working on it and then you make that connection? It's like the Abnetter, and then you make that connection. It's like my soul, and you know, the personality, you know, that relates to your purification of the personality. The level of the personality has been purified. You know, sometimes we only look like, oh, I still do this and I still have that to work on. But the fact that the personality, the hands, the mind is actually what got into the process and allowed itself to be, you know, to be that dynamic expression, and to say, I, me, even the ego personality aspect, I, me, really love doing this is my soul, you know, even though it's owning it, like my soul, like the mind is saying, oh, this is my soul, you know, instead of allowing the soul to say, this is my personality. um, those are all part of the integration process. But this is the purified nature of the ego, the purified ego personality. Even when it says this is my soul, it's not that my is it's sharing that identity with the soul. It's not like owning it all, like this is me and this is my soul. It's like, okay, I'm just used to saying these words in the English language and what we do and in the mystical society. But even when I'm saying my soul, it's like I really mean like soul, I am you. So all of that gets expressed through that. So I think we are concluding because I know others may have other things to go on. Okay, much dua, and let's close out with a prayer. Actually, I'm just not even going to touch anything because I don't want it to just all disappear again. If I tried to share the power, the any of this, anything, the PDF or the whole any meeting just goes off. Yeah. So if somebody can close us out with a song, a closing. I was going to do the Ahet Atanu. That would be appreciated. Om Hetep Hetep Hetep. Hetep. Or any chant. If anybody wants to play Amasu and Panata or anything. No one?
Uji. Uja is Bastaku.
Puja? Bastaku, I think your mic went off again. If you were going to close us out.
Me. Hatep.
Duamat Nebaten Hatep.